Good day, everyone. Ali Safi here, Safi Financial Network. Today is October 24, 2025. Here is the weekly edition or weekly wrap, or at the starting with S&P 500 weekly chart. See that market just had a volatile week all the way. We got kind of like a Monday sell-off, but that was very, very short sharp sell-off, and then getting back to the upside starting Wednesday and close the week new all-time high. So S&P 500 closed at 67.91, new all-time high. And right now there is no sign of correction, and that was just 1 week. We saw that in October, and seems like that was kind of like the sell-off. And I was expecting kind of like a choppiness here, then getting back to the upside for year-end rally. Seems like market is just getting to the Halloween, and you know that after Halloween, usually we have a nice bullish momentum. November, December could be a bullish month for the stock market. Usually November is going to be a bullish month for the stock market. And usually September, October, we saw some volatility, but this September, October market was pretty bullish. You see that we just got one candle in September and one candle. Actually, this candle happens in August, so nothing spectacular in September, just consolidation. And just 1 week in October, we had volatility, and that was it. So seems like the correction is far away, and we are gonna see potentially consolidation, a nice rally to the upside, getting into year 2026, which I'm working on the cycles. There are lots of interesting things that I'm gonna prepare for 2026 forecast video, which is coming in potentially 2 months now, end of December, potentially beginning of January. As usual, always I'm providing that video. And right now, I would say market is in a bullish momentum. So there is no sign of the correction. However, MACD is slowing down. You see that the momentum is getting down. And RSI, we got a pretty nice divergence here. But it doesn't mean that we are going to get back to the downside tomorrow, because overbought can be more overbought, and divergence can stretch out more and more before everyone is getting to the bear custom or even bull custom. So market can stay irrational more than you think. So don't try to forecast the market. Don't try to predict the market for the bearish sign or even for the bullish sign. As I said before, we were waiting for a confirmation. We never got confirmation for a sell-off to the downside. And some people just got into heavy short just because they were thinking that market is going to go down. I said this correction could be buying opportunity. What does it mean? This means if you have money in your stocks, just keep it or just book the profit and be cash on the side. Make sure that the correction happens, then get back into the market for long position. It doesn't mean that you need to be smart and get all the movements to the downside. So don't get like a short when market is stretching out like this, because this can stretch out more than you think, and it can happen like in 2021. Remember that? So this is exactly the same situation and the same condition. Donald Trump was in admin. We got sharp sell-off, and look how far market has stretched out before year 2022 to get into kind of like a volatility. And this is exactly the same thing. We got pretty nice V-shaped recovery, and Donald Trump, exactly the same president, is in US and in admin, and we can stretch out for more than a year. So right now we just got sharp sell-off in April. This is in April as well. March, market just bounced back up, and market goes all the way up to the next year, December. Not the same year, next year, December. So we can stretch out exactly the same thing, and nothing wrong with that. And also we can go down like in February, January for a sharp sell-off. And even in that momentum, we got pretty volatile September, October, with a nice W pattern. This is what I was waiting for, and still I'm waiting for this. So potentially that happened like in February, January, and then market getting back to the upside, and potentially that happens. So, but we are not forecasting, as I said before. We are just waiting for levels. And right now, I'm waiting for these levels as well. So, this is going to be 6,800 to 7,400, which is going to be multi-decade top. And it doesn't mean that market is going to go there and then getting back to the downside. Market can stretch up here, but I would say 2026, I will expect market will hit a multi-decade top. But right now, we should just give market benefit of doubt for the next rally. Moving on to the daily chart. Daily chart, we got new all-time high. There is nothing wrong with that. So we were expecting this happens and then getting back to the upside. It didn't happen, so we're gonna delete that one. And we were just waiting for, as long as market is staying above this pivotal point, we should just give market benefit of doubt. That was a heavy volume reversal to the downside, but market just had like a couple sessions to the downside, protected this, and then getting back to the upside. So that was a heavy, sharp sell-off. Market is getting back to the upside. Right now, we are seeing like a divergence here, obviously, but it doesn't mean that this divergence is going to happen. This is a huge divergence. You see that before a market top in October, and then sharp sell-off. And right now we are at all-time high, but market RSI doesn't show any sign of even overbought condition. So this means market can still stretch out until this divergence getting invalidated. So we will see how it goes with this one. However, stochastic momentum got into overbought condition. It doesn't mean that it's going to sell off, because when it gets to the overbought condition, you see that when it is in a bullish momentum or bull rally, you see that there are lots of overbought condition. So this overbought condition doesn't mean that market is going to go back to the sell-off. If it gets oversold, that's going to be a good buying opportunity. So right now we don't get oversold, so we stay invested as is. Moving on to NASDAQ. NASDAQ to weekly chart here, and here's the weekly chart. So still NASDAQ getting into new all-time high, 25,360, and we should see this box as a kind of like a potential for reversal to the downside. This reversal doesn't mean that we're going to go to crash or something. You see that market is just up and down. So we have a nice rally, down tick, a correction, rally, correction, rally, correction, a big correction. And that was a huge one, to be honest. A market just like a rubber band shifted to the upside. We can get to this area, and then we will see some kind of like a sell-off happening. So we will see, even that sell-off, if happens, we can get to this level for a next corrective move as a buying opportunity to get back to the upside. Moving on to the daily chart. Daily chart is the same. So we got a pretty nice momentum to the upside, new all-time high today for NASDAQ. We got above this pivotal point. So everything tells us that still we are in a bullish momentum. And potentially we're going to see some kind of like a rally and then chopping round down the road. But right now, the bullish momentum is pretty nice. And also next week, we will have big techies earnings. So it's going to be lots of volatility. So stay tuned for that one. Moving on to Dow, which had a fantastic move today, new all-time high. Let me just to start with weekly and then getting back to the daily. So weekly, we got new closing all-time high on a weekly basis and a new all-time high as well. So we got above this trend line here. And this is kind of like interesting just because whenever we get above this, usually Dow previously cannot hold. Let's see how it's going to happen this time, because if it goes above this, stretched out, this is going to be a support. Any pullback could be a great buying opportunity. So we will see. We will see. Let a chart tells us exactly what it wants to do. But right now, I would say this is going to be a buying opportunity. If it gets there, that's going to be a good buying opportunity. Again, it doesn't mean that you short the market. Just because we are waiting for this, it doesn't mean that it's going to go there. So potentially, if that happens, that would be a great buying opportunity. The same as NASDAQ and S&P, you see that momentum in MACD is going down. Still, RSI is not in overbought condition. And also, you're seeing that a divergence, a small divergence at the top for stochastic. But it doesn't mean that Dow is going to go to the downside. I would say Dow cannot perform the other names, especially when it's getting to the corrective market. Right now, we are in a bullish market. Moving on to the daily Dow closing all-time high, so 47,199. And this tells me that still we are in a bullish momentum. There is no sign of the correction. As long as we keep this pivot to the upside, we should just give market benefit of doubt. We can bring our like a support area to this area, which is very, very interesting area for Dow. If it gets there, that's going to be a great buying opportunity. But right now, you're just staying above it. So we keep the momentum as is. Moving on to gold, which kind of like is showing the weakness here. However, we saw that this is nice higher low, but I would say this is kind of like a bearish consolidation. The only thing that I see is these two shadows here. So buyers kind of like a support this 4,000 area. If it doesn't hold next week or so, we're gonna see a sharp sell-off, potentially all the way down to 37 to 3,600, which is gonna be a great buying opportunity. So again, don't short gold just because I was saying, but this pattern actually doesn't tell me that gold has a nice momentum to the upside. Right now, we got a W pattern. So for bulls, we need to get above this pivotal point. So keep an eye on this. If we get above this pivotal point, we're going to see a nice momentum to the upside. If it doesn't go above this pivotal point, and if it's get back to the downside, we're going to keep an eye on this previous support, because if it breaks to the downside, it's going to go lower. So right now, chopping around in this white range. So if you just scale down your chart to 4-hour chart, you will see that what I'm saying exactly. So this is a very nice ping pong box here that price is going up and down. Moving on to silver. Silver is the same. So exactly the same thing happening for silver. Silver is forming a very oversold condition. Right now, it's just forming the bottom. And I would say this is kind of like a nice bearish consolidation. Even we may see a pop, that could be the scenario to this area, which is going to be to 50 area, and then getting back to the downside. That could be the scenario for a nice ABC pattern to the downside, and this is 40 to 42. That's going to be a great buying opportunity for silver. For the long-term investors, I would say this is going to be a great area. I'm just looking for that one to get back into silver again. Moving on to crude. Crude is forming a pretty nice momentum to the upside this week. And I think we are bottomed here. So right now, crude is just getting into a short-term resistance or daily resistance. This is going to be a nice reverse head and shoulder here. If you see that, we're going to see a pullback. And if you see something like a bottom somewhere around $60, then getting back to the upside, this is going to get ready for another tackle to 65. And then this is going to be the moment of the truth, the decisive moment for crude. If it gets above 66, all the way up to 80. So we will see how it goes for crude. All right, folks, this video finished. I will cover all the individual names in the next video. Make sure watch that one and stay tuned. What do you think, folks? Shall we get into kind of like a cautious side, or we should just buy all the dips? Please stay tuned and put your comments down there. Have a great weekend. See you on the chart. Bye-bye.